Right, here's the ESCAM NVR setup. Now I tried to do this review earlier on, but with the cameras I already had, but they weren't compatible with it, unfortunately. So I've been given another camera from Banggood for free, which is why I've got these things. Obviously, there you go. And so it's at no charge to me, provided for the purpose of the review, and I get to keep them. So they provided me this and the actual camera itself, which is what I'm currently using now. So this is 16 channel, although I seem to have got it stuck on 9 channel. I'm not quite sure how I managed that. It does have 16 somewhere. I've done something. Anyway, I've only got one camera right now, so this is the view it's giving right now. So it's not too bad. Better angle for that, and quality is pretty good actually. It's okay. Now, one thing I've noticed is that the compression on the camera, if you have something which is moving quite fast, you actually see artifacts. So say there's a fly went past, for example, close to it, you could see artifacts like here as it's went past. Fast moving stuff, not so much, but it may be there's some settings on the camera which allow you to adjust that. I haven't been able to get into the camera yet because I haven't plugged into a PC, I've only plugged into the Mac, and that didn't allow me to do anything. So there's software for the PC and stuff like that, so I have to get one of the PCs out and hook that up and go from there. But anyway, on the ESCAM NVR here, it's got various settings. So in here, do IP channel setting manual, which is where you configure them. Now what I did is I come over here, I did a search on all these different types, so i8, i8H, i8S, i9, i12, and OnVIF. And I did that search, and it came up with 2 supported formats for this camera. So OnVIF and i12 popped up as available. So I then come over here, click this little arrow here, and it inserted it into one of these slots. Actually on number 6, I think. So 6 and 7 are actually these 2 settings here, but I've also transferred that to number 1 because that's just, camera number 1. It makes more sense. And here's the configuration stuff. So it's port 8899, dual stream, TCP smooth setting. I've got an SD real time, and this actually comes with an admin password on here. I don't actually know why. The default is actually no password. Maybe it's on this particular input it's required, but on the HTTP connection it doesn't require a password, so maybe this particular port does have this password, which I believe will be admin. I didn't change that, it just worked, so it's probably just something I've been playing with before and it happens to be the right one. So yeah, that's that stuff. So yeah, it's all pretty easy. I've got that running straight from the camera directly into the NVR. I haven't got a hub running on there right now. It's got its own power supply with a little 12-volt plug pack, which plugs straight into the camera. So I haven't tried doing PoE. I need to check actually if it even supports it. I'm not sure it does. It may or may not. Have to check it. And you can do like display settings, which are obviously for the actual screen itself. So resolution of the screen, channel balancer, stuff like that for the screen. We turn the transparency on the menus, which now I can't see. You want to go too low on that, or you get a bit stuck. So anyway, maybe I'll do that. And then we've got image settings here, so you can actually adjust the camera itself. So it says channel 1, so this is obviously camera 1, and you adjust the brightness and contrast, stuff like that. So I've actually tweaked this. I found the camera a bit dark and a bit too high a contrast. Again, it might be due to settings within the camera which I haven't accessed yet. So the default values is 127 for all these. I've got 142, 99, 147, 128. Well, that's default there, I haven't changed that one. But I've increased the saturation slightly, bring the colours out a bit more, and reduce the contrast. If I go to default settings, it's got a little bit darker. It's a bit harsher. So I shall bring this back again. I don't see it changing there. That's interesting. Well, that's something silly here. Maybe I made a mistake. Here we go. Oh, let's try it again. Right, so that's on default there now. Drop the contrast right down. There we go. So yeah, it must be on the wrong channel. But that said channel 1 as well. Interesting. But yeah, you can see it. You can make it really bright and stuff, but unnecessarily so. Slide that about there, I think. Yeah, slightly higher saturation. But yeah, that gave me a slightly better tonal range. I think it just looked slightly smoother. Didn't look as harsh. Go back to default again. It's a bit stronger, it's a bit darker, and everything's a bit more over pronounced, so it's a bit too much. So I think having the lower contrast and the higher brightness and slightly higher saturation just helps to get that a bit smoother. But yeah, that's on the camera itself, obviously. So a bit of a mixture view between the ESCAM NVR and the camera itself, because it's sort of doing both at once. But I mean, it seems okay. You've got playback options as well, and recording options and stuff like that. I'll go into those shortly. So here's the little booklet that came with the camera, and it's actually fairly comprehensive, considering what kinds of things you'd normally get from cheap Chinese suppliers and stuff like that. But it covers quite a lot of detail. But it does actually state the supported systems, which I need to find again. Oh, I did see it just now. Here we go. So XP, Windows 7, 8, 10, not support Mac OS, but it does support the mobile app of Android and iPhone / iPad. So iOS app as well. So there is one available for it if you're using on mobile devices. Support for Mac is not that uncommon. It's usually the case where I only work on a PC. A lot of things do seem to be that way. But this says apps for the PC version, and there's actually a link down here, software link and operation video link, just mentioned just down here. So you can actually go to those addresses and pull those down. I'm assuming they work, of course. I haven't actually tried it yet. But I'll do some more video on the actual PC side of things and check that out. But so this particular camera here, it is where's the specs? Here we go. 3.6mm lens on that particular camera, so it's fairly wide angle compared to a lot of other ones. But this is quite a close shot. This isn't actually very far away from the camera. You can see here. I had to choose something which was colourful, but and a bit of movement and stuff in it, but not too specific about where I live, kind of thing. So gives you an idea of what it's doing. That's fairly close. It's probably only about 10 feet away from the camera. But yeah, I mean, it seems to be working okay. Just one thing I did notice, it's not really an issue, it's just a observation, is that when I move the camera, if I adjust in this angle to get this shot, I'd move it, and about half a second later, maybe a second, the screen would change. So there's a small delay between the live occurrence and actually translating onto the screen. So whether that's the camera or the NVR or a bit of both, who knows. And the other thing that I got from Banggood here, well, actually two things I got from Banggood. One is a little screen thing I'll show you in a second. But this is a splitter. So I did show this briefly in my base. This is PoE splitter, so you plug a PoE Ethernet cable onto this, and that then gives you a Ethernet connection and a DC connection. It's got the indicator light in there as well to show it's got power, and it's got these little rubber boots and stuff here, so you can run the cable through, run it through the boot, put the plug on it, and seal it all up so it's all watertight. So it's quite cool. So that's a nice little detail there. So it should be weatherproof. I've needed to use it in this case because I'm only just doing testing. But one side. Yeah, so the system does. It's got this little menu that pops up the top here. So you got recording options. I haven't looked at these properly in the manual stuff, but each channel can set each channel's options. For some reason I've got it down to 9 channels now from 16. Not quite sure what happened there. I've obviously done something to the settings and I've been playing around. But it does schedule recording and manual recording settings to record continuously and everything. And got closed recording. I'm not quite sure what the deal there is. Might be movement related or something like that. File menu, so you can do a search for files. Where's the search? Refresh. No. I see it somewhere. Maybe it's not that one. Capture, so you can do screenshots. Alarm menu, so you can set up alarm options. I'm not using any of that stuff. Not sure how to set this anyway. There must be a way. Backing up, so you can export a time frame and back up to like a USB device, I'm guessing, or maybe a network device. File type i8 or AVI. And playback menu. So if I do a search from today, we should hopefully find something. Oh, set the camera first, so I can do all cameras, but only using camera 1. So here we go. So let's do that. So there you go. That's playing back when I was playing around with it. No. Now the quality there looks absolutely fine. It's as good as the live stream straight from the camera, so it all looks fine. Settings menu, so you've got various options in here. I did kind of go through it a little bit before when I did the original review on this. Video format, PAL, NTSC. PAL is what I use here, so versions, version 4 apparently. PTZ support as well. This camera doesn't have PTZ, so I can't try that out. PTZ camera is a bit more expensive, so also you got some communication protocols and stuff there as well. Daylight saving time option, which I haven't got configured. QR codes for the apps. Quite a handy little thing in there. Display settings, so you can move things like the options around, like up here. It's got display up there. Over here, so you can move things around somewhere. I'm guessing. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played with that yet. And a few things like that. Stream options for video options. So I don't think any of these are selectable in their current state. No. I'm not quite sure why they're options if you can't select them. Set itself's a little bit odd, but schedule recording, so you can set up the timing you want for the scheduling. I don't know how to do that yet. Pre-record. Yeah, 5 seconds pre-record time's always good. Right. What else is there? Motion detection options. Motion detection, and I've lost the camera. That's interesting. I'm on the wrong camera. I should have to figure out what's going on there. I seem to have lost the camera connection. Okay, so I rebooted the camera and it's come back, so it's a bit strange the way it dropped off. So I have to look into maybe. But the camera's working, so I'm back into these video parameters again. And so now that the camera's going, I can make selections. And you can see that when you hover over one, it will light up, so you can actually change it. So you can choose what stream you're doing. What it's supplying. I think there's any audio in it. I don't think so anyway. And I've changed this from 4CIF to HD 720p. What's that? It may have already been on actually. Anyway, 720p. Build bit rate as well. I've got it set to right now, and I've changed it from 2048 kilobit to self-defined. So I've got this default setting that came up when I did that. So I thought, okay, we'll leave it at that. Frame rates. So how fast do you want it to scale it? So full frame. And I've changed this from high quality to highest quality. I want to see how that affects things. And interframe intervals 2. Yeah, I'll leave that on there, I think. Let's see if it changes anything on the actual camera view. That does look slightly better. Just looking at a bit of movement just over here. It's a bigger movement really, but yeah, it's looking okay. So default's still very dark, but that's kind of expected. I mean, that seems fine, that quality. Certainly at distance it's better than the more analog camera, at least from the way it appears. Go back up to the settings here, which is where I was. And motion detection, I think is where I was kind of looking at before. Area settings. So how do we set this up? Motion detection in here. Oh, you can set grid up. Okay, so you can't see it very well, but there's actually like a grid coming up in here. Quite sure how to okay, so you right click and drag across to get rid of the grid. So you can just like select the bits you want to check, monitor. So I've just dragged across here and I've got this block. So if I want to take this bit away, right click and drag across and that takes those away. So I mean, that's simple enough. It works okay. Get rid of the whole lot, nothing left there. Right. Army schedule, so I'm guessing this is for the monitoring of the movement. So if it's like an area which has got like access during the day or something, you might want to turn it off. But linkage, so you can do audio warnings, alarming and monitors. So upload the sender, email linkage, so you can obviously email a notification if something happens. Fairly common thing. Video lost options. Again, you're scheduling a linkage of that as well, so you can choose what to do if the video is lost. Video tampering, which I'm guessing is more of a detection of video quality change or something. Maybe a large image change. I'll have to look into that. And video mask as well, still big off. So you can block off certain parts of the picture. So if I wanted to block that off, that should block it, I believe. We shall see. Apply it. Let's see if it actually works, shall we? No, I still see video there, which is interesting. Enable it. I thought I did that already. That's interesting. And yet there's still no masking on there, even though I've done that. There might be a bit of a issue there. And it's turned off again. So it's not actually remembering the video mask setting. So that's something not quite good in there. Network settings. So again, I've got this set as 192.168.1.1 because I'm using that .1 network subnet. These are all default settings in here. I haven't changed anything else. Yeah, although I think I did set those up originally. I was doing something else, playing with my other cameras. And Wi-Fi. Well, don't have Wi-Fi or 3G, although it seems to be an option you can get, I'm guessing. Anyway, right, so time server, I'm going to set that up, just do that manually. email settings, so you can email people, management stuff. There you go. I am not too sure about modifying these. Anyway, alarm inputs. Again, you've got time schedules, stuff you can use. Exceptions, so if something goes wrong, you can choose what to do. Count settings, stuff like that as well, obviously. So yeah, it's quite a comprehensive setup option on the actual unit, and so the camera I need to go into more when I actually get to plug that into a PC and try and get into the actual camera settings itself. So the only thing I've noticed so far is that it's quite a harsh picture. The contrast seems a bit too sharp, a bit too strong, and maybe slightly over sharp as well, but it's not too bad. It's better than some other cameras. Alright, so here's the actual camera I was using, and it is called a Brick QD300. And it's got 4 LEDs on there, infrared LEDs, and there's the details at the bottom there. It's basically the same stickers on the outside of the box, and as you saw, it seems to be okay. Now the weird thing was that it did that loss of video at one point where I had to reboot it, so that's a bit interesting. Whether there's an issue there, I don't know. It may just be I've confused something when I was playing with the settings and it had to be rebooted because of that, but it's entirely possible. So I'm going to play on some more and see how we go. But there's the power jack there and the Ethernet port. Now I don't believe this does PoE, because I've had a look around and I can't see any references to PoE. I don't really want to try it in case it doesn't do it and it blows it up. So I think I'll just rely on the DC input on there. So there's no reference to PoE on it. But it looks like a real camera. This bracket is a bit interesting. It's like a big swivel and go right around and do different angles. It's quite a nice ball joint effect there. You can tip it over. Now the thing that I'm puzzled by is how you lock it in place. It doesn't seem to actually have the ability to lock. So you put it somewhere, it just sort of flops. So I'm not quite sure whether there's a method in that, or if me turn this around or something, or no. There must be a way of getting this to lock up, but as it is, I haven't found out what it is yet. This just kind of swivels around and allows you to set it in different places. You know, if you try and flop it up like that, it's going to flop. So there may be a way of doing it. I just haven't figured that out yet. Might take this off and have a look. This is nothing obvious about how you're supposed to do it. But yeah, so like I said, these are free from Banggood to me. So the links will be down in the description. Go and have a look at these and other items. Another thing I purchased, which I haven't mentioned yet, well, didn't purchase but got from Banggood, is, if I can get it down here, this screen thing here. Now this is a pop filter, so it seems to work okay actually. The microphone's behind there, and it stops you any like breath sounds and stuff hitting the microphone and causing it to, you know, be massive wind noise. I've done some tests on that and used it for some other videos already, and it works quite well. It certainly does the job, and it's only small. It's not particularly large when it's a hand, but it's big enough to cover the mic, which is all that really matters really. Right, I shall have to do some video on the PC side of the connections with this camera and try see if I can get into the camera interface a bit better, but for now I can't do much more. Right, so I thought I'd show you this camera thing with the login. So I've already logged in actually, so I should probably log back out again. Is going to do it? Yes. Right, so there's the login screen, and here are the preferences in the control panel for the network. So default camera IP address is 192.168.1.10, and I've got the computer set to 1. Subnet is fine. But it doesn't matter because I've got a direct connection, so I'm using Ethernet 2. My computer's got two Ethernet ports on it, and I'm just using the second one. I've had to disable the first one because that's actually my internet connection, and so I've got it plugged into that, and it communicates through it just fine. So it's default as admin, no password, and this is what we get. So the actual it doesn't matter which one of these I select, either way I get this missing plugin thing, and it doesn't actually tell you what the plugin that's missing is, but I believe it's ActiveX or something it requires on PC, so it's not usable on the Mac, it would seem. So I've tried it on the Safari there, and if I go into Firefox, we'll do the same thing. Just make this up a bit bigger. So Firefox, same deal, except there's no message about missing plugins. If I go to the About stuff, it's just there's and I've already gone through a play of settings in there, but it's not done anything. So I can't really do much about that. Yeah, so it doesn't work on Mac, unfortunately, but it's not too unsurprising. So I managed to get this camera working on the PC. What I should do is I'll log out and go back into where it starts off. So here's the login screen like you saw on the Mac. Again, it's still no password set, so I'm just go straight in. Automatically prompt switch stream you want to look at. It's a bit of a pain actually, I'm going to turn it off, because you switch streams from these. Extra stream and mainstream. It's just different qualities, although you don't really see it on here anyway. And so yeah, there's the view. So you got brightness and contrast settings and stuff just down the side here. These are only for display, don't actually adjust in the camera settings, I don't believe. Now the actual camera settings are in here. And this is a little bit interesting from the way it works. So it actually looks a lot like a standalone DVR kind of thing you'd get, but various options in here, recording options, but it doesn't actually have a internal drive, I don't believe, so I'm not quite sure why any of that's in there. Alerts and stuff like that, so this may be for this program itself, but it does seem to be a bit odd. But maybe it sends a signal over the Ethernet cable to say one of these things happened, because I know when I had video motion, when I had a lot of motion across the camera, it popped up a little alert, and yeah, so that is interesting. But I think it's actually just telling this little bit of software here to do things. I don't think it's actually within the camera itself. So you've got various standardized options. PTZ, well, it doesn't actually have PTZ, but I don't understand why it's settings for it. It's probably just within the program, so it's a bit conflicting about whether the settings are for this viewer or whether they're for the actual camera. Because then you also got the camera parameter over here, so this looks like it might be the main thing, but if you go to network, this is the camera parameters. So again, it's a bit confusing because you don't actually quite know what you're adjusting. You know, it's under device config, so you think it's part of the camera, but the camera doesn't have a hard drive, so otherwise you've got hard drive settings. It's almost like it's a standardized bit of software they use in all the devices and just slap it in everything, and whether it applies or not, it's almost like that. So yeah, I've got to play with these settings because this is still the default IP address, things like that, so I need to configure this for my network when I get all that set up, because I've got to put the network video recorder on my network, as well as a PoE hub and things like that, so I've got to do all that. So I may or may not go into that detail. I'm sort of finding my feet at the same time. So this is the camera settings anyway, so this is what I'm connecting to right now, as you can see up here. And camera parameters, you've got various options in here, so I don't know what most of them do. That's the funny thing. You can actually look at the screen, I'll change anything, so look. What's that, Horace? Don't know. Let's do it. Who knows? Maybe. Some of these things aren't very obvious. BLC is usually backlight compensation. Open and close. I'm guessing close means on. What about white balance? That speaks for itself. AE reference. I'm not quite sure what AE refers to. Image style. Don't know. DNC threshold. WDR. I mean, these things I don't know what they are, so I can't really tell you much about those. AGC. Yeah. I know that's automatic gain control. I'm guessing that's not on. Or maybe open means manual. I don't know. Shutter slow shutter, and day NT level. I don't know. So I've got these settings in here which I don't understand what they are, because there's no, you cannot. It's not like you can hover over it and get detail. Right, my phone decided to restart itself just then, so it cut off my video as I was recording, which is a bit of a pain, but a bit strange. Anyway, so as I was saying, there's no way of actually getting any help tips about what these functions do. If you hover over them, nothing happens. There is no prompt to say what it does, what it should, what it hints at doing, or nothing. Some of these are fairly, mirroring and flipping, and those are fairly self-explanatory. But some of these settings are, some of these I'm not familiar with. Maybe someone that's more used to video stuff will have an understanding of what these do, but or maybe there's a manual somewhere which tells you what they are. I haven't actually tried to look, to be honest, but yes, that's the camera settings in there. Net service, it lists all these. I don't know what they're for. Encoding, I did a quick look in here before. Sets of various quality levels and things like that for the different streams. So that's the mainstream, substream, which is typically done. I don't know if this camera's got audio in it. It's not ticked. No idea. Anyway. I'm not quite sure why it's got different profiles there. Anyway, I'm sure there's reasons for it. But yeah, so it's a bit of a mishmash between whether it's controlling the computer side of the program, whether it's controlling the camera, whether it's stuff coming from the camera. Anyway, hard drive. There is no hard drive. Why has it got this setting here? It's just a bit odd. But and in fact, it runs through Internet Explorer. Yes, Internet Explorer. Firefox wouldn't work with it. If I fire up Firefox, it's a little bit slow to respond, but it gets there. There is no plug-in not supported. Does not work. So I tried looking at some settings, but I couldn't actually get the thing to function. So that's a no-go. And here's some of these alerts that pop up. So video motion, but it's popping up these alerts on here. So I think the cameras are sending a signal to this program. Well, to Internet Explorer in this case, which flags it. Anyway. Net service, net surveillance, start talk. No idea. Anyway, recording options and stuff down here. Snapshots, when I grab a screen capture. But it's got full screen option as well. Push escape to get out of that. But yeah, it's okay, but it's it gives the necessary configuration information, like the actual camera settings as I showed you just now, and the network setting here. They're probably all you really need to get into. So anyway, I thought I'd show you that. So yes, it does work on a PC, but only in Internet Explorer. I don't know how that will cope with Windows 10, seeing as Internet Explorer doesn't exist on Windows 10. So I'm not quite sure what the situation is. It may still work on the other one. Oh, what's it called now? I forgot what they called it now. On the Windows 10 anyway. The yeah, so anyway, we'll see. So it does work. Well done. Right, so I'm playing with this NVR for the rest of this review, and I've got it hooked up to my network now. And I spent probably an hour or so fiddling around with it, just trying to figure out how to use it. And basically, I've got it running through my PoE automatic switch unit. So I've got my camera plugged into that, which is this camera here. Another connection goes to this unit, another connection goes to my network router. I've got several network units. It's quite a messy situation, but this is working, so I can access the camera remotely from any computer on the network, and this unit itself, the ESCAM NVR, from any unit on the network. However, because I don't have any older PCs, none of them can actually view the footage that comes out of the camera or the NVR, because they require Internet Explorer in order to view those feeds. I haven't found a way around it yet. It doesn't really bother me that much. It's not like I need to do that much. So I'll come into settings here. I've already logged into it, obviously, and the first thing is this QR code thing. Now, these allow you to choose certain devices. I use Apple myself, so I've grabbed this QR code here for the application for my phone, and you also have an option of doing like we see that into the port forwarding on your router and stuff like that, but there's an application you can use which will have this will just link to the network somehow. I didn't set that up, that's not what I want to use. It was a bit unclear about how to actually go about that as well. I briefly looked at it, but not too much detail. Which uses this QR code here for the device ID. But what I did is I've just done a direct network link through my main router, which has got port forwarding set up on it, to forward a port which I've specified to convert it to the port I'm going to be using on this device. Now, the interesting thing is, if we go into network settings here, the actual port it's using isn't any of the ones which are specified. Now, the default port which was on the program, which I downloaded at the application, which is 5800, works. None of these other ports I specified, which are in here, work. No matter what, if I choose any of these ports, nothing happens. We've got this other stuff here which I'm not even using anyway, it's all turned off. I think that's for the remote management thing where you got the cloud-based access, which I didn't use. So a lot of stuff that's all turned off, and I'm not using it, so I don't really care. But so this is what I've ended up using for my network connection. I'm using a subnet of 00 at the end, because I've got various subnets set up on my network, because it's quite a complex network. I've got multiple devices across it, multiple routers, so yeah, it's a bit complicated. But anyway, so that's what I've got set up for mine. And so none of these ports themselves are actually working apart from port 80. If I go to this device's IP address, which is this one here, on port 80, then I can access this device. Right, but yeah, trying to view the feed like this feed here on the app, found that no matter what port I set are the ones which are specified there, none of them worked. Once I used 5800, which was the default port, then it works. So interestingly, though it's not specified anywhere, that's the one which works with it. A little bit odd. I don't know exactly the circumstances there, because as I say, the I don't know what RTMP stands for, or RTSP. I don't know what they're for, so I haven't researched it. It's probably online somewhere, it's probably documented somewhere, but I haven't looked into that at all. But I mean, yeah, I've got it working. I've now got it working on my phone on the app, and I can view this video feed on the app. And yeah, it comes out really nice quality. It's better quality on my phone app than my analog security camera systems are. I mean, they're okay, but I've used, you know, high resolution cameras on those as much as I could get away with, and but this quality on this one it's still superior. So yeah, I mean, I've got it working. It works on my network. It works on the app. A little bit of fiddling around getting it to work, and again, you have to watch out for that port 5800 being the one you use if you're using the app on iPhone, at least, to get to this NVR. But yeah, so it works. Unfortunately, I can't show the app on the iPhone because I'm recording with the iPhone. So it's a bit of a catch-22 that I can't show you because I have to record it. I can't record it because I have to be on the phone, and I have to see if I can do screen capture on there or something. I'm not quite sure if I can do that, but anyway, so I think this is basically conclusion. I mean, the camera works well, the NVR itself works well, which is like a combination of a few reviews really, because it's like the NVR which I got sent by Banggood, thank you Banggood, the camera which was sent to me for free by Banggood as well, thank you Banggood. There's a thing, actually I should probably show that, shouldn't I? It's here somewhere. There you go, one of them. Stick my eyes up here. Yeah, so as I say, these things were given to me at no cost for the purpose of doing reviews. So there you go, and I'll be chucking links in below and all that sort of stuff. And there you go, chucking links in down below for the actual items I've used. Direct links which are all tracked links by Banggood. So if you use those links to look at the items or purchase items, please buy stuff. Then it gets tracked back to my channel as being the source of those links. Alright, so it comes back to me as being the person that sent you there, and it helps to me to get more items in the future and do more reviews. So hopefully you do go there via those links down the bottom there and have a look. Okay, so I think this is the conclusion of the review. I can't really do much more without showing too much detail about my own IP addresses and bits and pieces, and so I would like to do a bit on the iPhone software on the app, but I can't see a way of actually recording it at this time because I use the phone to record it, as I say. Alright, so okay, catch you later, have a good one, and let me know what you think about the review, or if you've got any tips about how to set this up, things which I've missed. So this isn't something I'm particularly strong in as far as setting up this kind of devices. Someone knows about all these ports and stuff do, and can describe them so I understand it, that'd be great. I'm obviously missing something here, but I mean, it's got these other features in the email scene, so you can email it to yourself if something triggers or whatever. There's heaps of features in the NVR which I've kind of covered through. I've looked through most of the screens before, and anyway, so catch you later, have a good one, tell your friends.